Welcome to the Art of Becoming Whole, where we explore the human experience from the meditation cushion to the therapy room and beyond. My name is Kevin Stansbury. I'm a licensed clinical social worker in California and an intuitive holistic psychotherapist.
My name is Justin Tang. I am a certified hypnotist and a counseling student in Texas. And I guess I'm just like a therapy enthusiast or enthusiast of the mind.
The healing arts,
The
perhaps.
healing arts, yes. Yes, absolutely. And I don't know exactly what we're going to talk about, but I felt like stuff we were talking about off record was very related to this book. I mean,
Okay.
obviously anything childhood related would be
Oh, yeah.
Look, I don't even know. Okay, no, I think I did. I was hoping to get some more insights into our particular client. Um, and so I figured I just remembered something about, depression and um in that book. And then I started reading it. I'm like, oh, holy crap. Rereading it. This has been a while. I'm like, holy crap, this is like really good shit that's just like hitting me in a totally different way, you know. That's how I feel about Healing the Shame That Binds You by John Bradshaw, too. I need to reread that. And there were just like so many gems. So, anyways,
And I haven't read either of those. So, but
I think you like it. But
I've,
sorry, go ahead.
I've definitely heard of the one you just said,
Hmm.
Healing the Shame That Binds You. And then this one, what's it called again? The something
Yeah, the drama of the gifted child.
the gifted child.
Yeah, and this is a supposedly a psychotherapy classic. I think it was originally, I can't, don't quote me on this. It was not originally in English. I
Hmm.
think it was originally written in French or something like that, and then translated. And this is like a long time ago too. Um, but apparently, now Alice Miller is has written more books than this. Um, I'm pretty sure she's passed away. But apparently, one of her children came out with like a biography or something, and revealed that Alice was like kind of like a terrible parent. uh, you know, it, there's always this the archetype of the wounded healer, right? And sometimes you're a better therapist or author than you are, um, in your personal life, and you're still working things out. And I don't think that is um a slight or like it's not like a attack on her and her credentials or anything. I think, we're human and we're working through things as we are helping other people. So,
Yeah.
but like, do you mind if I read a little bit the description of it? Because it's a very strange title, right? It's like the drama of the gifted child. Like, what does that even mean? And sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I just feel like I immediately know what it means, but
You do? Ah, okay, okay.
maybe I could be wrong though. So, but like it strikes a chord with me. And I mentioned I texted you about um, how it reminds me of ACA, uh,
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
adult children of alcoholics and dysfunctional families, which is a great 12-step program for people who grew up in particularly in a home where there was alcohol or drug abuse. That's kind of their thing, but they've expanded it over time. They expanded it to just include dysfunctional families because people that grow up in dysfunctional families all share similar traits, basically.
Yeah.
Which is to me, in my mind, it's like pretty much everybody. But I guess there is a spectrum for sure.
Yeah, in varying degrees.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. Are they not what's the saying? None of us come out of childhood unscathed,
Mhm.
right? So, but okay. I want to read this bit because it'll reveal what gifted means. Uh it says far too many of us had to learn as children to hide our feelings, our own feelings, needs, and memories skillfully in order to meet our parents' expectations and win their love. Alice Miller writes, when I use the word gifted in the title, I had in mind neither children who receive high grades in school nor children talented in a special way. I simply meant all of us who have survived an abusive childhood thanks to an ability to adapt even to unspeakable cruelty by becoming numb. Without this gift, offered us by nature, we would not have survived. That hit home for me. Uh, because for a long time I was numb. For a very long time. And I just even thinking about it is very emotional because I think a part of me or parts of me have really hated the numbness. But I think even reading this has helped me reframe my numbness kind of in a more experiential way. And I think I think I would have intellectualized like, yeah, of course, this numbness is a defense mechanism and defenses can be good and all that. But I think reading this has kind of made it kind of sink in a little bit deeper. And just shit, I didn't even read that bit last time when I read this book. So I don't know. I just have a newfound appreciation of what a gifted child is, right? Someone who has the ability to become numb to survive childhood. Wow. Anyway, yeah. So
Yeah. So for yourself, you said for a long time you were numb.
yeah, yeah.
And then
Uh,
how did you start to thaw that out?
yeah. A lot. It was a long journey. So if you had told me that I'm numb or I'm in my head or anything like that, right? I don't feel. I would have been like, I don't know exactly what you're talking about. I'd just be confused. Like, I don't know what that means, like to be in your head or not in your head or whatever. This is just the state that I'm in. Like, this is just my experience. But I would say everything that we do as humans are is in response to a feeling, even if we are numb. Either a feeling that we want more of, or it's a feeling we want less of. So a while back, I went through kind of a painful time and a breakup, which I thought she was the one. Whatever the Christian version of a soulmate is, that's what my belief was. Like we were soulmates. Uh, and yeah, a lot of different things just kind of fell apart, and it put me into this depression. And so I knew something was wrong. I knew I needed something. I needed something to change, right? And that's where I kind of stumbled across a kind of a men's dating coach or a men's personal development YouTube channel. And I went to one of their seminars, and this guy talked a lot about you need to let go, you need to accept, you need to feel your feet on the ground. Now, to you and me now, this is just like common knowledge, right? This is just like, oh yeah, of course. But you have to keep in mind that I had never heard these things at all. I come from Christianity, evangelical Christianity. So the idea of accepting that which is accepting um, negative emotions or whatever, it was very foreign. Like Christianity is like the king of judgments. There's sin and righteousness, and you need to rebuke the evil thought, right? Like if you have a sinful thought, you rebuke it, you quote scripture, and you pray in Jesus' name, whatever. Like you just it's very dualistic, right? So there was none of these concepts of DBT and whatnot. So yeah, I just started to go to this seminar, and they would do exercises that would spark different. It was meant to trigger you. It was meant to actually trigger a response. And then one of those times, and I think I might have talked about this before, in one of these seminars, something broke. Something broke. Like you were supposed to, they hired models, right? So you would look at these models face to face, person to person, eye to eye, and feel the tension, like and be able to ground it, right? But it also triggers stuff. So for whatever reason, in that moment, And that one time, something like just broke. It went like, like, and I just felt all this, like I started to shake and I felt heat. And I didn't know what it was. It was anger, but I thought maybe I was demon possessed. I was like, oh my God, what's happening? But it's all this unconscious material finally coming out, repressed anger. And that was the start. It wasn't like from then on, I just felt everything and was no longer numb. It's been a long journey, a progressive journey of using the Sedona method, which is what they t taught, which um, to me, the Sedona method is a very active, mindfulness modality. So you really have to accept if you want to be successful in that modality. So yeah, it's been a very, very long journey, and even now, I think there are parts of me that are still numb. My supervisor is a bioenergetics trainer, and I remember shadowing one of her sessions, and she was doing some bioenergetics, and it just, I don't know, something I just realized. I was like, whoa, I thought I felt a lot, and I do, but it was clear that I was still cut off and still very numb in many parts of me. So yeah, that's kind of the medium long answer.
Mm. So it was kind of going through these different experiences with the like seminars and things, and putting yourself in these positions to be triggered, and then
Yeah.
but in a hopefully supportive environment.
Yeah, yeah. It was supportive. And it wasn't, and I had no idea that would happen, really.
Mm.
I didn't know what I didn't know. Um, yeah, there was no real grid for unconscious phenomena or material or hypnotic phenomena or just anything like that, repressed emotions. There was no real grid for that. So it's not like I had no idea what to expect. Yeah. But it was supportive.
Yeah. And it just makes me think, part of the healing process seems to be, I guess you would call it an exposure therapy type thing, where it's like, at least in my experience, I don't know if I mean, sometimes I would do it consciously, sometimes unconsciously, sometimes it just seemed like it manifested. Maybe that one actually is the most common. Like some experience just happens to come to me that happens to push the exact button. And so I'm not really in control of all of that. But but it seems like that's absolutely necessary to then allow whatever repression mechanism um, to falter so that the feeling can actually start to emerge.
That's well said. Yeah. Yeah. I feel I'm going in two different directions here because on one hand, one of the reasons why we go to therapy is because some of our defense mechanisms are no longer helping us be functional. So they're kind of almost failing in a way in the sense of how we want to function in the world.
Yeah.
But in another sense, um, the work of therapy is to work through some of these defenses that might be hindering wholeness. And so, whether it's through traditional talk therapy or psychoanalysis, or whether it's through some of these more alternative, experiential exercises, I don't think it really matters. I guess it matters, obviously, if it's in a safe environment, if the practitioner is skilled, that's what matters too. Um, but either way, there's a lot of ways to skin a cat, right? A lot of different paths, but they can lead to the same place.
It's
Oh,
the
sorry, you have a cat. I'm sorry. I
the
should have used that
worst.
metaphor.
I don't know where that saying comes from, but it's like,
Yeah.
why are we skinning so many cats?
Yeah, that's true. Where did that like who out there is skinning cats for what reason? Yeah.
But yeah, I hear what you're saying. I think we've touched on this in some ways, but just that every moment calls for something different. And like a moment for one person, something, talk therapy can work wonders. It can be like the absolute, like really the thing that needs to happen. For someone else, it's some sort of somatic experience. For someone else, maybe it's like energy work. For someone else, it's maybe emotional release, or hypnosis, or, it's like all these things. I think they can serve the exact right purpose at the exact right time. And this is my own bias, but in my experience, it's like at some point, almost all of those things have to happen. Like, like talk therapy worked really, really well for me for a long time. Um, and to some degree, depending on the moment, it's still like talking. It's to me, talking is not just talking. It's like I'm feeling while I'm talking. So
Exactly. And I really think that's a very sorry to stop you here, but I feel like that's a very crucial nuance and a crucial component and a distinction to be made. Because I do think like um going back to this numb story, right? So there was a point in that where I was going to a talk therapist, but I was still kind of working through all this numbness and trying to connect the dots from childhood and all this stuff. Um, And talk therapy just didn't really do anything. I'm not gonna lie, it didn't really do anything. And I think it's because I didn't have the skills that you have or the experience, um, yeah, the kind of the emotional experience and the skill of being able to feel while talking, if that makes any sense. And I do think that is um, it's a skill to develop.
yeah, I'm glad
Yeah.
I'm glad you stopped me because I think that it is really important to point that out and that there's this big push back against talk therapy that's been happening in the field for a little bit. And it's like, it's almost just swinging the pendulum to the opposite extreme of only do somatic therapy or something like this. It's only about feeling, only about being in your body. Talking does nothing. Fuck that. And yeah, it's like, okay, well, yeah, you can talk about feelings without feeling feelings. Or you can talk about feelings in a way that guides you deeper into feeling the feelings, which which then is a more whole being approach. It's like you are engaging the cognitive, but then you dip down into the body and
Yes.
the emotional experience, and you can do all of it at the same time.
Right, right. Yeah, it's almost like you're getting the best of two worlds and you're able to almost connect the dots too, right? It's like both a cognitive and a somatic experience. And then you're like the gears are turning and so you're getting the insights and then you're also shifting somatically. Yeah.
Yeah. But I will say, as a therapist, that it's tricky because people's defenses will try to keep you on the cognitive level and not feel.
Yes. Yeah.
So I find this is always tricky for me. Like I'm still it's just always a dance. It's like it's just sensing. I'm putting out my feelers and I'm like, is this what we're talking about? Is this leading you deeper into feeling? Or are we just taking a huge cognitive detour here? Um,
Yes.
or or is it a cognitive detour that's necessary to like set up the foundation for deeper feeling? And so it's like
Fair.
fucking I don't know, man. Depends.
This is why it's not quite psychotherapy is not quite the science, a science. It can be, but yeah. Yeah.
So what was I saying?
Okay. Yeah, I stopped you because you were talking about I think maybe we're talking about different paths, right?
Oh,
Of yeah, working through defenses or coming to wholeness.
oh yeah, yeah. That at some point, it's like it seems to me that just which is based on my experience, that I need to talk about things. So that absolutely has needed to happen and still needs to happen sometimes. I need to feel things. That's probably even more important in a particular way than talking for me, um, or thinking about things. And I need to experience things. So either directly some sort of somatic, intentional somatic practice in my body or breathing or meditation or whatever, or out in the world. I need to have encounters that trigger me. I need to have encounters that will, like I said earlier, that will like touch the spot of repression and what it, for whatever reason, have the defense mechanism falter so that the feeling can actually start to emerge and then I can engage with it. And it seems to me like that's probably true for everybody. Like I don't see a scenario where you can just talk about things. I don't see a scenario where you can just feel things, and I don't see a scenario where you can just go out in the world and experience things. It's like you need to have some inclusion of all of them.
Right. Right. I think they're all very complementary, right? It's not one or the other, right? They're all working in conjunction with each other. It's holistic.
Hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. But I really wanted to read a little bit about this because and I think Alice Miller would agree with what we're talking about. In the very start of the of her book, this might open a discussion, right? Experience has taught us that we have only one enduring weapon in our struggle against mental illness, the emotional discovery of the truth about the unique history of our childhood. I don't know. For me, it hit me hard. Whoa. I'm gonna read it. Sorry, I'll find it again. Okay. The experience has taught us that we have only one enduring weapon in our struggle against mental illness, the emotional discovery of the truth about the unique history of our childhood. Oof.
Yeah. So, I mean, that resonates a lot for me. Can you unpack it?
Yeah. Uh, um, I guess like give my commentary or something or my thoughts. Yeah, I think that obviously there she's talking about therapy. And well, I think there's a lot of the words here hold a lot of meaning, right? So it's the emotional discovery. So yes, we're talking, but it's also about what are the emotions that we haven't felt or did feel or didn't feel, and the layers of that, and the complexity of the different emotions of rage or powerlessness or grief or even just discovering what actually happened in childhood. Have we been in complete denial about these things? Right. So it's an exploration, it's a discovery. Right. There's not just one, it's not like a one and done thing. And I think this is the problem with a lot of brief therapies out there, including, my fellow hypnotists and neurolinguistic programmers, which I love, which I think that hypnosis and NLP are can work miracles. And that's where they kind of stop. They kind of just stop like, oh, there's like these 6 sessions. Okay, you're good. Yeah, maybe for some people, for some problems, right? Um, that could be possible. But I, I also want to ask like people like, is that actually true though? Like, if you yourself only got 6 sessions and your life was changed forever, you never ever got another session. You never had any healing, growth, discovery after that. I find that very hard to believe. We are in constant healing and discovery. um, and coming into whatever our potential is, or growing, right? And I think growing and healing are very adjacent to one another. And so the fact that is a discovery means there are multiple steps. Uh, so that's one thing. Um, I think secondly, the word truth and the word unique history. And I remember reading a long time ago. It was who's the dude? M. Scott Peck, Scott M. Peck, M. Scott. He was one of the OG personal development guys. He was like a psychiatrist, very well known back in the 70s or something. And he
Ah,
wrote a bunch of books too. He wrote the Road Less Traveled, if you're familiar. Okay. And awesome dude. Like I love the book. That really was the book that kind of sparked something in me to where I could be like, huh, therapy is kind of interesting. Like he would give these cases and I would be like, wow, that's like super cool. Um, and he just had great insights, obviously being a therapist. And he wrote there, um, he basically said like we have faulty, we don't function right because our maps are not right. If you have a faulty map, if you don't know the truth, then yeah, you can't function. And so we have to discover what the truth is, which might bring up, very uncomfortable feelings, as truth sometimes does. And and the fact that we have a unique history, it's not somebody else's. We're not just taking doing some kind of randomized controlled trial to where we're discovering that CBT workbook can reduce depression by 10% in this 12-week, thing, and then we can just gather all the data and here you go. We'll do this CBT workbook um, that's just generalized. No, it's like you have a unique history that needs to be discovered. Uh, there might be principles and connections that and feelings and emotions and values and so on and so forth that we share as humans, but have not uh, you yourself have not experienced what this other person has, and the same thing. Like everyone else has a different history, and then you have a unique one, and that is something. It's almost like a unique gem that needs to be figured out, a unique puzzle. Um, yeah. So I don't know. I'm kind of rambling here. I was trying to get to a certain point, but
you made great points.
great. Okay.
Um, yeah, the map thing. I think that's a big deal. It's like also, I mean, this is where the unconscious comes in. It's like you don't even know if you have a faulty map.
Right. Right.
We just think our map is correct.
By default. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's the basic assumption that we're using a an accurate map. And so then if you think you're using an accurate map, but shit isn't working, then what's the obvious thing to do?
Just keep doing whatever it is that you were keep no.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, that and plus blame others.
True. Yeah, you're right.
Blame the world. It's like, okay, if my map's right, so it must be you fucking crazy people.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Fair. That's
But
exactly it.
that's the thing. It's like I'm having this image in my head of a map where like half of it is it's like blank or submerged under water or something. It's like you don't know the part that's missing. You actually there definitely is a part that's missing, but you don't know
Right.
what it
Right. And it's interesting because even to discover that missing half is is a journey of itself, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean that is the journey of discovering your unique history. What was it? Feeling?
Yeah,
Just
unique, the emotional discovery of the truth of our unique childhood history, something like that.
Such a well said sentence.
Yeah. Yeah, she drops these bombs all over the place, you know.
Yeah, the
It's great.
emotional discovery, which is what we were talking about before. It's like you can't just think about it, you have to feel it.
Mm.
You have to contact the feelings, and that's the emotional discovery. It's like, oh shit, I feel that. I feel that, and for context, I don't know if we'll cut it out or not, but what I was talking about at the beginning, it's like we were having a conversation about my unique emotional history or my emotional
Yes.
discovery of my unique history. And um shit, I lost my train of thought. Um oh, yeah, just that what is occurring today and how I'm engaging with my life today and what emotions and somatic experiences that I have related to my experiences, so triggers, fight or flight response type things, all of that stuff. If you don't have this context that we're talking about this emotional discovery of your unique history, then then it's really fucking confusing. You're just like, why do I feel this way? What, like I said, it usually goes outward first, I think. It's like, I must feel this way because of you, because you're doing some crazy shit. So stop that. But I find ultimately, sure, like people's behavior can trigger us or it could be problematic or whatever, but it's touching. If you're triggered, it's touching a wound.
Yeah.
And if there's a wound, then that means there's something that you're responsible for tending to.
Ooh, this is an interesting discussion. I can see both sides of the spectrum. So there's there's some people on the internet, I guess people on the internet are in the world, but people on the internet uh that are saying like, hey, it's not the world's responsibility to, tiptoe around your trigger. It's yours, right? And I think I kind of like there's a seed of truth there. And but I also see the other side to where maybe people are just being fucking assholes. Pardon my French. And they're not being very cognizant or they're not being socially um what's the word, calibrated, right? Or empathetic. So I feel like there's a balance, right? And I'm trying to figure out where that is. Uh yeah. 'Cause I think that's an interesting discussion.
Yeah. I think I just saw a reel yesterday. I'm trying to remember who it was. It was definitely Gabor Mate being interviewed by somebody. Could have been Theo Von. I don't know. Yeah, but I kind of think it was someone else. But whatever. And the question was, it was related to this. It was like, so, you know, are we responsible for, fuck, I wish I could remember the exact quote. It was good. But basically it was like, am I responsible for my trauma? Like when we talk about trauma, is
Yeah.
it something that then I'm responsible for, or is it more like well, it was done to me and so there's some responsibility externally or something. I'm totally butchering whatever they were talking about, but but it's semi-related. Just that and his answer was beautiful. I think he gives a lot of beautiful answers. But it was basically both. Like they're one and the same thing. That if you're addressing your trauma, you are taking responsibility for yourself and for your emotional experience and everything you've been through. But you're also, you know, going into this territory where you have to soften and open your heart and feel everything. I mean, that's part of the responsibility, I guess. Um, that it's just I guess that I'm my wires are getting crossed. That it's just both and it's just both like you were saying it's there's partial truth in both that we can be sensitive and attuned to somebody, you know, if someone is has a phobia of spiders, it would be an asshole move to throw a spider at them, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
And and like and maybe harmful. So it's like about what's helpful or what's harmful too. It's not necessarily, I think everything gets framed as what's right or wrong in this discussion. It's like, yeah, it's wrong to trigger this person. Or so then you better be really careful about what you say because you don't want to trigger you don't want to trigger what's going on with them. But that's like too extreme. But you can be conscious of what might be helpful or what might be harmful. But
Yeah.
then also yeah, it just totally depends on the situation. It's like sometimes people have some sort of entitlement around how they want the world to treat them. Like
Yeah. Yeah.
never trigger me.
Yeah. Um, I guess maybe if you don't mind fleshing it out, because I don't know if I have any of the answers, but what does it look like to take responsibility for our wounds? Obviously, going to therapy, right? Or just talking to somebody that's skilled, a practitioner or something like that. Um, yeah. I don't know if you have any other thoughts on that.
I think it's changing your default position. So what I mean is that I think that pretty much everybody, I'm arguing with myself. In a particular way, our default position is, like I said earlier, it's like blame. Um, you know, I was arguing with myself because my default position is maybe more self-blame than anything. So it could be self-blame or other blame. But whatever, it's blame. And but in reality, in practice, like if I think about myself in relationship, in past relationships, sure, I would go into like shame spirals and self-blame, but there was also like a lot of defensiveness. And that's kind of like it's a different type of blaming the other, but it's like they're attacking me. They're like I'm being attacked. And but from the outside. And so then it becomes the other person's responsibility in a way. It's like stop attacking me, stop attacking me. And I think whatever your particular expression of blame is, whether it's self-blame or other blame, that we need to change our default position to one of curiosity and a foundational assumption that what I said earlier, if I'm triggered, a wound is being pressed. And if a wound is being pressed, there's responsibility there, personal responsibility to tend to the wound. It's not anyone else's responsibility. No one else is going to tend to it. It's mine.
It's my wound. Yeah. No, I like that. Changing your orientation or your attitude, your default. How did you word it exactly? Your default mode or
I don't remember. Position.
position? Thank you. Yeah, yeah. What do you think about chucking the idea or the concept of the word blame and just erasing that?
I mostly like it. But what I don't like about it is I think we could easily mm, doing that, which I've done, I think, I've tried to do uh, to an extreme, that can lead to repressing anger.
Interesting. Interesting.
It's like I actually have needed and probably still need in some ways to go to that place emotionally. the emotional discovery of this experience, which is blame and anger. This was done to me and I'm fucking angry about it. And I need
Sure.
I need that. I need to feel that. I don't need to stay there, but I need to go through it.
Yeah. Yeah. It's fair. Fair enough.
But that's real different than I'm triggered in my current relationship and I'm gonna blame the other person for that. It's like so different. Sure, anger's fine. I think in relationship we get angry, it's fine. Um, but again, it's like this is why I love the inner child metaphor because to me, I don't know what the percentage is, but it's like any any painful feeling, any painful emotion or feeling is the result of time traveling.
Any painful emotion or feeling is a result of time traveling. That we're feeling now in the present, you mean?
Yeah, yeah.
And by time travel, I guess we might be using different words, but I think maybe actually your phrase is more clear. I say it's regression, and that's a very like psychoanalytic, hypnotic word. Uh, would you agree with that? Like basically, every time we get triggered, it's almost like we're regressing back to this childlike state.
Yeah, that's what I
Okay.
mean.
Yeah. Oh, I agree with that.
I just like time traveling. It sounds cool. But also
Yes, it does.
but also it to me that is the experience feels like if I really become conscious of it, it feels like that. It feels like emotionally, my emotional self is leaving the present moment and it is entering into a time that has previously existed, probably early childhood, most of the time. And so it literally feels emotional time traveling, like and that if we can be conscious of that, that every time you're triggered, like the I can't I'm slowing down to think about it. There are times where you just have an appropriate emotional response to something, and that's not, I wouldn't actually call that being triggered. Like if there's appropriate anger to somebody uh, hitting your car, but then, driving away or whatever. And so you can't file an insurance claim or whatever. It's like that's like appropriate anger. There's not necessarily a trigger there. There could be, maybe it triggers a wound and then you feel a lot of extra things about it, but maybe not. You might just have what I'd probably call a pure experience of anger, like a pure emotional experience. But anyway, aside, if if we're triggered, we're emotionally time traveling. There's like basically no wiggle room there. It is the case. And so if you know that, if you can remember, you just have to remember in the moment when you're triggered, which is the hard thing to do because now you've become past you. So you
Yeah.
have to somehow connect with present you enough for present you to say, "Oh, this is what it feels like when my inner child is triggered. This is what it feels like when I'm time traveling or whatever." um, you have to develop enough conscious awareness of that to be able to call it out in the moment. But this can like transform societies, like the whole world. And I don't think that's an exaggeration.
If if we become aware of whenever we are triggered and aware that of the fact that triggered means that we are time traveling to an inner child state or a childlike state in the past. If we become aware of that, that is the thing that would change the world. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I mean, at first I was just going to say it would completely transform all of your personal relationships, which I think is definitely true. But if everyone was doing it, for sure. That would transform societies and the whole world.
Mm, mm, hmm Yeah, I think the problem is people are not even aware about anything you've said, or they're not even truly aware of their emotional state of when they're triggered, what that means, all that, right? It's just like normal, n normal for them.
Yeah. And I mean, it's taken me 19 years to to even be where I'm at. And I'm not like I don't at all claim to be perfect with it. But to even be able to catch it like I did the other day and have a conversation about it, bring it forward as, oh, this is, this I'm feeling triggered. It's touching on a particular wound. This doesn't really have to do with you. It wasn't really about anything that you did, which that's this particular situation. It sometimes it gets messier because it does actually have something to do about what the other person is doing. Um, but yeah, um, so it takes, I think, well, for me, it's taken about 20 years to of this kind of work to get to this point. I don't know if it has to take that amount of time for everybody. I think part of what I hope to accomplish is to use my experience to shorten that for others.
Yes,
Hopefully.
exactly. Yes, absolutely. And that goes back to, this is the only weapon that we have against the prison from our childhood, whether we recognize it as a prison or even if we perhaps are in denial. But going back to, there is a discovery process, an emotional discovery process of the truth of our unique childhood history. And yeah, again, hopefully we can have tools and experience and all these things that we can shortcut the process, hopefully.
I'm just thinking about something that we touched on in a previous episode. I don't really know how it fits in or if it fits in, but I was thinking about meditation. I think for you it happened one time on mushrooms, but where we were talking about how we've both had this experience where we saw that there were no parts.
Oh yeah. Yeah, yeah. Yeah.
And I was kind of applying that to this, like, when I'm meditating, I don't necessarily have a distinct sort of experience of discovery of things that happened in my past. It's more like an encounter with whatever's present. And I don't really know where I'm going with this. I mean, the reality for me is that I tend to take this, I guess, like a two-pronged approach of those types of practices, and then practices where I'm intentionally thinking about the past and I'm like intentionally time traveling along with my emotional self so that I can bring conscious awareness to that with the ultimate purpose of bringing conscious awareness to what's actually happening in this moment.
Right. Right.
Did that make sense?
Yeah, yeah. Ultimately, it is to bring awareness in our present experience.
Yeah, I guess sometimes I wonder how much it matters the story about what happened.
Say more.
Um, yeah, I haven't really articulated it. It's like, do I need to be clear on what happened that formed this particular defense mechanism? or that planted the seeds for this particular emotional trigger. Um, Sometimes I've found that I don't know. Like, I don't know where it comes from. I'm not gonna know. Maybe it was too young. So there's maybe it's pre-verbal. There's just no story, and then it's not necessary for there to be a story. It's just about encountering the feeling. I don't have to understand it. I don't have to know why. I just feel my way through it.
And that leads to wholeness.
Yeah. But then other times it does seem really important. Like, well, kind of like what we were saying earlier, that through the recounting of certain events or the conscious time traveling, so to speak, that actually helps with encountering the feeling.
Yes.
It's
Yep.
like maybe some way the story, revisiting the story allows me to develop more of an empathetic relationship to my own emotional self or inner child. Like if I really think about, oh, how did little Kevin feel in this situation? And when I really think about it and I really remember it, and then I can like relive it, I can relive it in my body today. And um, then it's really powerful.
I agree. I don't know. I agree with you that it's not always necessary for healing and wholeness. I almost got this like image of like like a musical what do you call it? Reading music, sheet music,
Yeah, yeah.
right? Like there's this, right? And there's like different, I don't know, sections to where I almost interpret these sections as like feelings, but like the story is like there's this overarching story of the music, of the melody or whatever it is, and that kind of carries the feelings almost. So I feel, I perceive, I believe that the story is if it's touching on truly unconscious material, if it's not like this conscious story that we're repeating because we're just like intellectualizing our entire childhood experience. But if it's actually touching on deep unconscious wounds, I do think it's very powerful because the story carries the meaning that we're attaching to our childhood, and that is also tied to the feelings from them.
Yeah. It's just like deep. It's deep stuff. Um, Let me try and flesh something out with you.
Yeah.
So, okay, so I was getting a sense of like the chain of events of cause and effect. It's like I'm a small child. I'm going through a particular experience or my environment. Um, I'm having a total aside that I hope I can remember and get back to about the environment, the importance of the environment, not necessarily singular events. Um, but so I'm a little kid, I'm existing in a particular environment. My emotional self has to warp to fit the environment, which is kind of that genius thing, right? Or a gifted child thing. It's like that's the giftedness that we have this thing that just does it. It just fucking we're existing in a dysfunctional environment and it just somehow gets us to fit in there so that we can survive emotionally. And so that happens at a really young age, maybe as we're developing our sense of self, as the self is still developing. And and so it starts as a feeling, it starts as an emotional experience, but then it turns into a story as the cognition, like an unconscious story, as the cognitive self. like the sense of self begins to develop and starts to solidify more. And then it's like the emotional experience feeds into this development of the personal identity and self-image, which is built out of stories. Stories which are
Mm.
informed by feelings.
Yeah. Yeah.
You're with me?
Yeah. Yeah. No, I'd agree.
Yeah. And so then that's why it is actually important to get into the discovery of these stories and the emotions that created the stories. Um, and ultimately, what we do in therapy or in any kind of healing through this process is you're unraveling a false identity, an identity that was
Yeah.
built to help you survive as a child.
Right. Right.
Cool. That was fun to say. And I just wanted to say real quick, oh, well,
Yeah.
do you have any thoughts about that?
Not at the moment.
I just wanted to say because this is a thing that comes up with clients a lot. Some clients, maybe a lot of them, it's easy, which I feel like for me, it's okay. Actually, I'm somewhere in the middle for myself, but it's easy to identify why am I like this? Like it's easy to answer that question because you can look back and be like, well, this happened when I was a kid. My dad treated me this way, and so now I'm like this. Fucking makes sense. But there are a lot of people who where it's not so clear cut, and they feel even more inner conflict about their own experience because they can't clearly identify why am I like this? Oh, I can't identify it. Must mean I'm just fucked up. Like my brain is broken, I suck, whatever. For no reason, for no good reason. I'm just like messed up. And while I, you know, I fully admit this is my bias, but it just seems true to me that maybe a very, very small percentage of people on the planet have like a brain injury or or a genetic issue that that is responsible for the formation of their psyche. I don't understand that. That is not my area of expertise, and I just think it doesn't happen that often. I think it's like a really small percentage of people. I'll pause there for a second in case you have any thoughts.
No, I'm in agreement.
Okay. And so, oh yeah, so the thing is that it's not just about huge capital T traumas. And people have a lot of people have heard this. They've heard about the little T trauma or whatever. Um, I'm not I don't know how much I like this distinction anyway, but sure, there of course there are these like big traumas that are super obvious. And then there are these more, I guess we could call them little traumas. What I want to say instead of that though is it's existing in a dysfunctional environment.
The way that I would word it is it's chronic. It's chronic tra or even complex. Would you agree with that definition, complex trauma?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But again, it's like there's complex trauma where you have repeated instances of huge traumatic events.
Fair. Yeah.
And then
Fair.
there's complex trauma where it's more it's harder to point at it and be like, well, that was it. That's the thing.
Right.
But the fact is it, like what is a dysfunctional environment? I would say it's one where it's impossible to get your needs met.
Yes. Yeah. Or even maybe you're getting the needs met sort of, right? But it's not in the way that you need, right? Um, yeah, it's not. I learned this from Dr. Glover, and he got it from somewhere else, which I don't remember. I think your needs need to be met in a judicious or a wise, timely, and something else. I forget. But there's like these three like components, and that made a lot of sense. It's like, yeah, it's maybe you are getting your needs met, maybe in the timely way, but maybe it's not in a wise way, right? Or
Oh,
maybe it's in a wise way, but it's not timely, or it's not, it's infrequent. Who knows?
I wonder what the third one is, because
Yeah, I
that's really
forget. Yeah. I need to break out my notes. It's somewhere in there.
yeah. So you know, I don't know how to draw the line. Like we said, it's a spectrum. So, is it a dysfunctional environment if you get 90% of your needs? And when we say needs, we're talking about emotional needs. I mean, physical
And
needs, of course.
physical. Yeah.
Yeah, physical needs, emotional needs. But what I see is a lot of people who got their physical needs met, they were being taken care of, and who got, I don't know, let's say like 70% of emotional needs met. That might be too high. Let's say 60% of emotional needs met. And so to them, they look at their childhood and they're like, well, I don't know, I had a pretty good childhood. My parents loved
Yeah.
me.
Yeah.
It was all right. Um, Hard to
Sure.
identify that it was dysfunctional.
Yeah. Yeah. I do think, though, however, it's not for everyone, but I think for some of these clients or some people, I think they may just be in denial.
For sure.
Okay. Okay. All right. I didn't want to invalidate their present experience of how they're experiencing their childhood, but okay. Fair enough.
Yeah, yeah, no. I would say the vast majority of these people that I'm talking about, um, who are saying my childhood was pretty good, it doesn't make sense why I'm this way because there's no clear thing I can point to, all of that stuff. For the most part, they are in denial. They don't actually understand how sensitive they were and how uh, because they were that sensitive, existing in the environment they existed in was not functional for them.
Yeah. And like you can have like you could have a happy childhood in many aspects and then not in some, and those could be just enough to wound you. Right. Yeah.
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 And I mean, just to be clear, I don't know anybody that is not wounded. So, so I might say
Fair.
I don't know anyone who grew up in a completely functional environment.
I'm sure there's got to be somebody out there.
I don't know.
Right. It's like the idea, I think it's from Donald Winnicott, a psychoanalyst. Um, the only thing I know about him is that the concept of the good enough mother, right? Like I don't like we don't need like the perfect mother. There's no such thing, right? There is no such thing as the perfect childhood or the perfect parents, but the good enough mother who does meet those needs in the good enough way to where you function and you're whole. I think that that exists somewhere out there. Uh,
It's possible.
it's just more rare. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
It's possible. I'm thinking of a friend. I need to ask her about her experience. Um, yeah, but I can count how many people I think are even close to that definition on one hand that
Fair.
I've ever met,
Fair.
or heard of. But anyway, it's all a spectrum. This isn't to blame parents. It's like this is just the nature of, I think, where we're at as a species. And the other thing that I want to throw in here about the environment is that you exist as a child, you exist in your parents' emotional environment. Like their inner emotional environment becomes the environment that you live in.
Yeah. Yeah. And not even that, right? It's the emotional environment of your mom and the emotional environment of your dad and the way that they interact.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that and I think what I'm talking about is like an energetic thing too. That
Sure.
or for those who are uncomfortable with getting that woo, you could just call it unconscious, but it's like we pick up on our parents' relationship with themselves. We are as kids, babies, children, they're so sensitive. They're just like sponges, and it's not you don't even have to mistreat a child. They will feel you mistreating yourself in your own mind,
Hmm.
and then that will contribute to how their sense of self gets shaped. So it is a behavior thing, but I really believe it's an energetic thing as well. What do you think about that?
I would largely agree. I think that there are some people who are more sensitive to that, and then some personality types that are not as much.
Mhm.
Uh,
Yeah.
so I'm wondering, yeah, yeah, I mean, it interacts with your personality type and how sensitive you are. Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. I did just want to say here, so what I'm looking at is the in ACA, they have this thing called the laundry list. And it's a list of what is it? Is it 21 or no, 14? A list of 14 traits that people who grow up in dysfunctional families tend to have. They have this laundry list, and then they have this other thing, which I think is called, it might actually be here, the flip side of the laundry list. Yeah. Which is 14 traits, 14 other traits that are kind of like the opposite side of the spectrum that you could land on one side or the other. Um, but anyway, the one that I wanted to bring up because you had mentioned it with regard to this book about the gifted the gifted child. Number 10, we have stuffed our feelings from our traumatic childhoods and have lost the ability to feel or express our feelings because it hurts so much. Denial, in parentheses.
Straight on.
Yeah.
And I don't know if there's a such thing as a denial of the denial because I didn't even know that. Like, I never would have even worded it like that, if that makes sense. Like, I wouldn't even you said that. Like, I've stuffed my feelings. Like, I didn't even know.
Oh, for sure.
I was just like, what? What are you talking about?
That's like
Yeah.
really successful denial.
Yeah. It was like repression, denial. Yeah, repression, denial. Isn't so numbness is denial? I always wondered if that was um I felt like it was his own defense.
I
But
don't know. Maybe it depends on your definition. Like denial, does denial is denial conscious or
no,
unconscious? It's
it should be
unconscious.
unconscious. Yeah.
So if you're denying something unconsciously, how is that different from repressing something? It's just like one type of repression. They seem to go hand in hand in some way.
Yeah, I mean, like, I guess in all defenses, you are not feeling the thing, right?
Yeah.
Uh, so I guess repression is more, I guess, specific in that I think you can be in both repression and denial, but I think maybe denial is a little bit just more specific to where you are not even acknowledging that this is happening.
Yeah, I suppose you could be in denial but not repression. Like
Yeah, yeah, I
like
guess.
you could be having a feeling that's coming out and it's loud and whatever, but you're not even conscious of it.
Right. Fair. Yeah. Yes, thank you.
Yeah, so there is a lot of overlap with the ACA stuff. There's a book in ACA called the Big Red Book, and it's a really psychologically smart book. Out of all the 12-step programs, and I'm not an expert in all of them, but I have some exposure to most of them. To me, ACA is like the pinnacle
The
of it.
best.
It reaches to the core of what's actually happening.
Okay. Okay. Because I'm actually pretty skeptical of 12 steps.
Why?
It's essentially modeling religion without using the words. And for grad school, we had to go visit. I visited twice, two different ones. They literally say the Lord's Prayer at the end, verbatim. I mean, everything about it reminds me of church. The
Uh,
way that they have these testimonials, right, to kind of sell you on it. The way that they repeat, this works if you work it, like it's like this like thing that they drill into your head, and the way that you have to confess your wrongs, your moral, whatever, I think it's moral wrongs. Well, that's just like another word for sin, right? Surrender to this higher power. It's okay. It's like basically telling you to pray to Jesus. Like there's so many parallels. Now, okay, I will say, I think if it works for that person and they get sober, I think that is amazing. I would much rather them be religious and sober than sober and destructive and not religious. You know what I'm saying? And so someone that is in the addiction field, but also in the hypnosis and NLP world, and he recovered from his own addiction as well. He basically pointed out too, it was like they're just trading one addiction for another. They're trading the drug for the drug of AA of this group. And again, if you had to do, objectively speaking, if you had to do the trade, I'd much rather them be addicted to AA than alcohol, right? Uh, but I do think there are better alternatives. Um, yeah. And the fact that they keep repeating that they are, you essentially keep repeating that you are an addict. I don't, that is not the case. It's like what you were saying, where it's important to feel the anger. It's important to acknowledge it. So any repressed anger or any repressed feelings, yeah, yeah. We need to acknowledge it. Don't be in denial. But you don't have to stay there. So it's important to be like, yeah, like my current behaviors are indicative of an addict, but that's not like who I truly am. That's the false identity. But if you keep repeating that you are this addict and you keep trying to wear this mask of the addict, the easier it is, the more you reinforce it, and like the more that you have to go do the AA stuff. I was going to say BS, but you have to do the AA steps to not fulfill your addict role, right? So that's why I don't. Not a big fan, but again, if it helps, if it gets you sober, I'm all for it.
you may have some strong feelings about
I
this.
It's a
No,
no.
I actually am in a lot of agreement. Um, I have a lot of issues with most 12-step programs for similar reasons. My main reason would be that I believe, well, kind of connected to what you were saying, it reinforces a particular identity that's not real. But associated with that is it sets up a perpetual inner conflict. It's like you have, you have a problem and you're powerless to stop it, and so you need to fight every day for the rest of your life. You need to fight yourself.
Yeah. And guess where they got that idea from?
Christianity.
Spot on. That was literally my ex yeah, that's like my experience and people's experience. Yeah. It's that you are the sinner, so you sin. So now you got to do all the things to you have to war against the flesh. War against the flesh and the devil and the world. Yeah. s- Spot on. And sometimes it works, man. Sometimes it does. You have the support group. That's the real I think the real gem of AA is that you are finally in a group of people that are they're willing to admit and they're supportive of each other, right? And they're in it together. And there's less shame and less judgment, right? I think that's probably the defining factor, in my opinion, of why AA is so successful. Yeah.
Yes.
Or can be successful relative to no AA.
Yeah. And it might be a great intermediary step. Kind of like what you were saying. It's way better than the alternative. And maybe somebody needs the structure and the intense fight with the self in order to just stop the downward spiral of destructive behavior,
Yeah, you're right.
particularly with like really hard drugs, heroin, meth, I guess alcohol probably.
I know we kind of jumped from AC was the ACA and the 14 uh
The laundry list.
statement, laundry list of a dysfunction characteristics of coming from a dysfunctional family.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So going back to that, it's like I was in CODA, which is Codependence Anonymous. And then I went into ACA and I attended meetings and participated. I started working the steps, didn't get past step two, I think. But it was really useful for me at the time. I think there were little criticisms, some of which we've already pointed out, of just some of the rigidity of it and some of the repeating slogans and um, some of it just didn't resonate for me. It just felt like, yeah, again, fighting this inner conflict and reinforcing a particular identity. Um, and it's like it's cool to have the community, but it's also communities reinforce the identity of the people in the community. So it's like, ooh, I don't know. It's a little tricky. Um,
Very. Yeah.
but but anyway, the main point is that there's and what you said earlier, it's like the personality type makes a difference, but there are people, sometimes some people call them highly sensitive people. I kind of think everyone's highly sensitive, but
You think?
I don't know. I'm at it. I'm battling myself internally about it. I have a belief that human beings are highly sensitive creatures, and our nervous systems are highly sensitive, and our energy fields are highly sensitive and receptive, and that the people who present as less sensitive, it is a difference in their makeup, and I don't really know exactly what it is, but it's like their defense mechanisms just operate better. And because of that, it keeps them at a particular level of functionality, and at a particular level of emotional homeostasis that they can just feel satisfied. They're like satisfied enough with their lives, and maybe any issues, maybe, I mean, it varies greatly, but maybe they have some self-awareness and they are able to just like work it out. Maybe they do go to therapy, um, or maybe they don't and they just blame other people or whatever. But at the end of the day, they feel either satisfied enough to not dig deeper into things, or um, or they're in denial enough and repressed enough to not do it. And I'm not totally sure about this. There does certainly seem to be a certain type of person who is susceptible, like who is more sensitive. That absolutely seems to be true. But are the less sensitive people? Yeah, I don't know. There's too many factors. I have no idea. I have no idea. But I think generally speaking, that human beings are more sensitive than most people think.
I
It's
guess
like,
especially as children, right?
yeah, it's like you put any person in a room with someone who's really angry at someone else in the room, and most people are gonna feel it. There's a sensitivity to it, and to me, it's not just body language. It's an energetic thing. Their energy field is vibrating in a particular way, and other people's energy fields feel it, whether it's conscious or not. So we're just sensitive beings, is what I'm saying. But
Right.
yeah,
Right.
there's still a spectrum there. But yeah,
Yeah.
um, yeah. I don't know. Do you have any other uh, thoughts or quotes in this book that are standing out to you?
I do. Uh, is very healing for me, by the way. Just because I don't know, I can't talk to everyone like this. Okay.
Why not?
Yes. They're just not therapy nerds.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Even if they're like practitioners, I don't know. Yeah, yeah, just not everyone's like a therapy nerd. And they might not resonate with what I'm saying.
Oh,
No. This is an interesting excerpt. It's going to be a little bit longer. That's not like too long, but it says the damage done to us during our childhood cannot be undone. Hmm. Since we cannot change anything in our past. We can, however, change ourselves. We can repair ourselves and gain our lost integrity by choosing to look more closely at the knowledge that is stored inside our bodies and bringing this knowledge closer to our awareness. This path, although certainly not easy, is the only route by which we can at last leave behind the cruel, invisible prison of our childhood. We become free by transforming ourselves from unaware victims of the past into responsible individuals in the present who are aware of our past and are thus able to live with it. I just love that. It was just kind of more expanding on that original sentence.
I just want to say this book, the way she phrases things, it sounds very similar to the Big Red Book
Really?
for ACA. Yeah.
Huh.
Which is why, that was my favorite thing about ACA. It wasn't the structure and all the stuff. It was like there's actual deep material in there, and they're framing it in a way that's like it's helpful that you can engage with your history in this particular way that changes who you are.
Huh. I guess I need to get the big red book. By ACA.
Uh, you could just type in ACA Big Red Book. It's like
Okay. Okay.
maybe it's by a compilation of authors or something.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Damn. Okay.
But yeah,
Great.
it
Great.
just really struck me. I was like, oh,
Just
re-
like
real similar.
yeah.
Like let me just read this thing to you,
Sure, sure.
and then I want to comment on something in that quote. Um, you're going to hear a little bit of the 12-step thing that you don't want to hear. But by working the steps, the adult child realizes family roles that were required to approximate protection in an unsafe home. We often feared for our safety and took on roles to disarm our parents. The adult child in recovery gets the chance to retire his or her role with dignity. We are never too old to work an ACA program and receive its benefits. So that's one of the things is that, they refer to themselves as the adult child. It's like there's reinforcing the identity there. But then they go into this whole thing. There's these different roles: the hero or rescuer, the lost child or invisible child, the scapegoat or black sheep, and the mascot or clown.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember that reading that in some of our textbooks.
Mm.
Yeah, no, I love the all of those roles that they describe. I don't know if it I don't think that's a ACA thing, right? But I don't think it is. But
I don't know either. I've heard it elsewhere.
yeah. No, I think that's great. I think understanding our roles in our family is kind of like the missing piece that I um was missing in terms of my understanding of human nature and myself and how we uh yeah, like how we got to where we are. It's like systems. I feel like the systems thinking is really crucial.
Yeah.
Anyways,
Yeah. So I just wanted to bring that up because maybe that fits in as part of the gifted child thing. It's like part of being a gifted child is shape-shifting into whatever role you need to you need to be in.
yeah. Yeah, no, I think so. I think we all take a role. Um, and that shapes our personality and it shapes our def probably our defenses and the way we view the world. Yeah, and we don't ask for the role. It's kind of just like thrust upon us. We just find ourselves in this role in this particular system because just that's how the system works.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, yeah, yeah. Like if you're a firstborn, generally speaking, there are exceptions. But generally, you just get put in that role of now you are now the caretaker of the younger siblings, right? You are now the leader. You are right. It's just it's your job now. That's the unspoken script, right? And you feel it and you know, right? Back to the like the energy, you just kind of you just kind of know. You just do it. And if you're the younger child, generally you might fall into the lost was one of the roles was like the lost child or
Yeah.
um yeah, I think that's pretty common. And then everything, all your interactions within this subsystem uh reinforce this role.
Mm.
And it's like this crazy what is it called? A positive feedback loop, right? And it's like even if you try to change, everything else in the system is still trying to keep you in that role. And they don't even know that they're doing it, right? And the same thing. Same thing with if you're trying to change another part of the system, all the other parts of the system's like, no, 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 we need you to be this role
Mm.
because that's how the system has always worked, right?
And then we carry that, whatever the role is, often we carry it into adulthood.
Yep, yep. And
And
then we
that,
recreate those systems. Yeah.
yeah, and it's said a lot, I think that well, it's not that hard to guess at least one of the roles that you and I share in common.
Wait, which role?
It's the people in the helping professions are rescuers.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Fair enough. It's true.
Yeah, which I don't know. It doesn't uh there there's a part of me that feels like, well, it's kind of reductive, It's like, am I just in this profession because I'm fulfilling my rescuer role. Um, you know,
Partially.
partially, but I seem to have a genuine passion for this.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And that's where maybe there's confusion there, or maybe there needs to be clarification. It's like you could still have a genuine passion for something, and there could also be a simultaneous wound on this like adjacent track, kind of,
Yeah,
right?
for sure.
Yeah. Uh, this does open up another discussion, which I want to ask you, because I have my opinion, although I'm like conflicted about it myself. Do you think the majority of therapists are therapists because they're trying to resolve some kind of unconscious wound or conflict through therapy, through becoming a therapist and doing therapy?
I have mixed feelings about it.
Yeah. Because part of me feels like it is the case that a lot of therapists find themselves in it, and they're not even consciously aware that's what they're trying to do.
I feel frustrated by the question.
Okay, fair, fair. Okay, okay.
Uh,
What? Yeah,
why? Why though?
yeah.
Maybe I feel frustrated by the question because it just maybe like what I was just saying, it's like a there's like a reductive element to it of like, am I really just in like it's like a lack of free will almost, you know? Is it just determinism based on my unconscious, the structure of my unconscious and what I'm trying to resolve? Like that's how I live my life.
Yeah. Okay, maybe I'm a little bit too. I actually don't believe in free. Well, that's a whole other discussion.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, I feel like we'll table that one for later. I feel like yes and no. I just feel like yes and no. Probably a lot of therapists, like for a lot of therapists, that is a large percentage of the reason why they're doing it to resolve some sort of unconscious conflict in themselves.
Yeah.
Or I think a lot of therapists are not, I hate to say it, but it is what it is. A lot of therapists don't do their work. They don't do their own work.
That's strange to me. Is that true though? Is that true? Like, I don't know. I'm not really.
Oh yeah.
Hmm. Why? That's just yeah. See, but that's why, right? So like if you are if you don't do your own work, you could never actually consciously become aware of any of these unconscious drives that could be, you know, leading you to do therapy and where you unconsciously manipulate your patients to meet a need. Actually, she talks about that. In fact, the first chapter is called "How We Became Psychotherapists." That's literally the chapter here. And God damn it,
That's funny.
yeah. Um, well, I have to find like the specific um bit, but yeah, she does talk about like if we're essentially with more flowery and detailed language, obviously, and way better. But the essence is like we can find ourselves in a position where we unconsciously manipulate our clients or our patients to meet a need. And in fact, we're playing out the unconscious manipulation that we encountered in our own childhoods and how that's basically like modeled, right?
But wouldn't that only happen if you're really unconscious? Like
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
okay, like you
Yeah.
haven't if you're not actively practicing bringing awareness into your experience.
Right. Which if most therapists aren't doing their own work, then they're probably not, right?
Yeah. Well, I want to be clear. I don't know if it's most therapists aren't doing their own
Fair.
work,
Fair.
but certainly a lot of therapists. It is certainly a lot. And there's like, okay, breaking it up into percentages. I'm not going to say the specific percentage, but there's a lot of therapists not doing any of their own work, and I don't know, they're just raw dogging it, just raw dogging life over here. And then there's a lot of therapists who do their own work, but not very well. And
Interesting.
maybe they're not seeing a good enough therapist themselves.
Hmm.
Uh, or maybe they just haven't been exposed to the right things, or maybe they're stuck in medical model mindset, or they're stuck in just like a CBT mindset or something. So it takes them so far, but in my view, not far enough.
Hmm.
Um, and then there's, I don't know, some other categories of it. There's a whole spectrum of
Sure.
the quality of the work being done or not done. But I would say, ugh, I don't know. I'm not a cynic, I think. But when it comes to our field, I am very critical, I think, and cynical about it in the sense that to I don't know how accurate this is. I would love to be proven wrong. I would love for you to prove me wrong if you can, but just that it's a fairly small percentage of therapists that I feel like are doing high enough quality work on themselves. You know, as I'm saying this, I'm actually disagreeing with myself, which is interesting. Um, because I know a lot of good therapists personally, and they might not be in the same place that I am in terms of like my view of psychotherapy or non-duality or healing or growth, but they're still like really good and like just good at holding space and being non-judgmental and loving, and they really care and they're passionate. So I guess I was giving voice to a cynical part of myself, but I have an inner disagreement going on.
Yeah.
But what I would like to say, I guess, is just that, you know, my hope is to be a part of the solution and provide, um, you know, education and training to therapists out there, um, you know, to help uh, expand that percentage of therapists who feel in themselves capable of engaging in their own work in a way that's satisfying to them, and then they can help their clients do it.
Yeah. Because I feel like maybe part of the issue is that they don't even realize what they're missing,
Yeah,
if that makes sense, like in their own work, in their therapy. Um, so I'd be very interested if there's any kind of research out there. Why? Why don't these therapists who don't engage in their work don't? Like, what is the reason? What is their reasoning? What's preventing them, if anything?
yeah, great question. I would say my anecdotal answer is that a large percentage of master's programs and even licensure boards, they are not requiring therapists to go to therapy. They're not even
Yeah.
having a discussion about it. Like it's not even like, hey, it's important to do your own work. Like nobody ever said that to me.
Really? Because
Not in school.
wow, maybe it's your particular program because I do th I mean the program that I'm in, they didn't require it. There were people that definitely emphasized it, but it wasn't like I don't know. To my personal bias, it wasn't emphasized enough, but that's just my personal gripe. But I think if you would ask any of the professors, they'd be like, "Oh yeah, you should, you know, do your own work."
Oh, okay.
But
Well, that's
uh
good.
yeah. Yeah, and it's like in the textbooks too, like, "Hey, it's important for you to do this."
Oh,
But yeah, yeah, it's in some of the textbooks. Yeah. But so it used to be apparently uh in psychoanalytic training that you're required to do it. And in fact, if you go to become a psychoanalyst, they require you to do your own analysis.
yeah.
And I actually think, ironically enough, I haven't run the numbers, but I think actually going and doing psychoanalysis for 5 years is probably actually more expensive than the tuition itself. It might be. Okay. But yeah, it used to be like that. It used to be that if you were to be a therapist, you had to do your own work. But times have changed. Now, I did want to bring up some because I swear there's been studies on this, right? I'm just using Perplexity AI, and I guess one study says that 80% of therapists believe that their own personal therapy is essential for their professional development.
Well, that's good.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know how good this source is. It's just kind of like this website. Yeah. I swear there have been studies done on this. Okay, but here's an interesting fact I'll just throw in the loop. I do remember there was a 2010 study that uh tried to figure out what kind of therapy are therapists going to. Like,
Mm.
is it humanistic? Is it psychodynamic? Is it behavioral? And what's funny is, according to the study, people who identified as behavioral therapists tended to not see other behavioral therapists when it came to their own therapy. They tended to go either humanistic, existential, or psychodynamic. Yeah.
I wonder why.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a little funny thing.
And for anyone that isn't clear, my the I wonder why is that uh we're talking shit about behavioral therapy. Basically.
I feel bad because there are aspects of behavioral therapy that I find very useful. It's just, it's like person-centered counseling. It's like it's a sufficient condition, but not, sorry, it's a necessary condition, but not sufficient.
Yes.
Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah, yeah.
I feel this conflict.
I mean, yeah, we're having fun.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, m much like any of any approaches we've talked about or modalities, there's an appropriate time and place. But if you are using a hammer to try and hit in a screw, then it's not going to work.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, I guess I'm not surprised to hear those numbers if they're accurate. 80% of therapists report that going to therapy is crucial for their own professional development, I think is what you said. Um, but then it's like what's not measured in something like that is the quality of the therapy that they're going through.
Yeah. And see, here would be an interesting study is what is the percentage of people who say it's important? And then what is the percentage of people who are actually going and doing their own work? Right.
Yes. And oh my God. I have so many things to say. Um, I feel like a bunch of different conversations that we won't get to all of them today, but shit, my mind just split in different directions and then it went blank. Wait, what did you just say?
Well, so we know in psychology that people say they want something or right? They say one thing but do another, right? That's just human nature.
Mhm.
So even I don't even know if this source is good or not. But if the source is good and 80% of therapists say it's important, that's great. And how many people are actually going to, like, what's the percentage that they're actually engaging in their own therapy, right? Those are two different things.
Yeah. And that what that made me think of was, in addition to that, one thing that probably has never been measured, and I don't know how easy it would be to measure, to be honest. I mean, self-report, I guess, but it's like going to therapy is not, it's in a way, it's that necessary but insufficient thing. It's like how what percentage of these people are doing their work, which is daily practice.
I see. Yeah. Yeah.
Um, yeah, which that's a hard thing to measure probably, besides self-report, which then people can lie about anyway. But then what does that mean? Daily practice, it's like the it's so subjective. It's tough.
Right. Right.
And then my mind went down this other rabbit hole, which I don't think we'll have time for today. We could do that some other time, but about measurement informed care and this push towards that. And the reason I was thinking about that was because you were talking about research, and it's like it gets into, okay, so a lot of therapists are probably in therapy, or at least they find it valuable. But then how good is that therapy? How do we measure how good therapy is? Well, what they're trying to do now is push this measurement informed care thing, which is like based on the medical model. It's based on mental illness and measuring that. And so there's like a whole discussion there that is really present for me for a particular reason that I won't get into right now, but also that really pisses me off.
And I think that would be an interesting discussion because I might disagree with you on some things
Mm.
on that. But I do think you can't measure everything. And what I mean by that is, for example, if you had a client that is numb and in denial, and you ask them, "Are you happy with your life?" What are they going to say? They're going to say, "No, I'm not." What? Of course, they're going to say, like, "Yeah, I'm totally happy." Like, and you give them a self-report, and they're going to just say, "Yeah, I'm totally good." And now, let's say they go to therapy for something, and then you dig up something like repressed anger, and now you do a measurement. Well, now, objectively speaking, from an outsider's perspective, you just took them from, "Hey, I was happy with my life," to, "Hey, now I'm really freaking angry about my childhood." Did they digress or regress? I mean, in some ways, true, but in other ways, this is a necessary step to get to wholeness. So, like, but if you were just measuring that one moment, from a medical model, right? If you don't believe in repressed emotions or the, defense mechanisms or anything like that, then yeah, like you're not going to have accurate measurements in the context of what it means to be whole. Yeah. So,
Yes. So we can have more discussion on it. But bringing it back to what we've been talking about, uh, gifted child thing. There was something in that last quote that you read about, I don't remember exactly how she said it, but like moving out of victimhood or something.
yeah, it says, we become free by transforming ourselves from unaware victims of the past into responsible individuals in the present who are aware of our past and are thus able to live with it.
Uh,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Unaware victims of our past. There's something here. I wonder. Hold on. Oh, what the fuck? I'm looking at the ACA stuff real quick. We live life from the viewpoint of victims, and we are attracted by that weakness in our love and friendship relationships. That's number 5 on the laundry list. Um,
Can you repeat that again?
yeah. We live life from the viewpoint of victims, and we are attracted by that weakness in our love and friendship relationships. Like we're attracted to other people who also live life from that viewpoint.
Got it. Yeah. Yeah. Mm.
And I just the that whole thing about like victimhood, like having an identity of I am the victim and feeling like a victim, that there's something really big there. And this is something that uh actually when I was talking to Jamin the other day, and we were talking about the energetics and how that was one thing that the energetics really hit the ball out of the park with. It was like this emphasis on that victimhood identity, uh, and letting go of it, learning how to let go of it. And yeah, well, I have some thoughts about it, but I'm curious just if that brings up anything for you.
It does. Um, I definitely have mixed feelings about uh the word victim, the concept of victim. I, I certainly think that we have to take responsibility for our wounds, for our emotions, for our lives. And I think that is a big part of therapy, right? Um, I think maybe I feel rubbed the wrong way when people say that you got to stop being a victim and all this stuff, is because I think that there's so much unconscious things that we had no unconscious wounds that we had no control over in childhood that I maybe I'll word it and phrase it this way. I think part of, ironically and paradoxically, part of becoming this responsible whole human adult is going through this grieving process where we can have true compassion on our inner child and we can say, yeah, like really shitty things happened. And maybe I was a victim and actually accepting that. Um, so yeah, I guess those are my thoughts. And maybe I am still in the process of, rediscovering what responsibility means, rediscovering what a victim is, and maybe I'm still maybe moving through that. I don't know. So I do think I had to let go of a lot of victimhood, but I don't think that tending to your wounds and admitting that you have wounds and admitting that it's hard, uh, that is, or having compassion for your wounds. I don't think that's being a victim. Maybe we just need to flesh out what it means to be a victim and all that.
Yeah. Yeah, I totally agree. I don't think that doesn't sound like victimhood to me. I had so many thoughts as you were talking.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, victimhood. I mean, this goes back to something we were talking about earlier. It's like when you reflect on the past and you actually reckon with what you went through and what, really even identifying it as that's trauma or that's dysfunction or whatever. But I was wounded, however you want to frame it. I was wounded. And if you were wounded, then you are by definition a victim. I mean, unless I don't know, something fell out of the sky, but then you're a victim of the sky, I guess. But but you know, like you, if you get wounded, you are on the receiving end of something, and that makes you, by definition, a victim. You know, if you're attacked by somebody, you are a victim. So it's not like nobody's a victim. I don't think that that's right. But but a victim is a momentary uh, label. It's like you are, yeah, you're a victim if you get, I don't know why I keep going to hit and runs, but if you're in a hit and run, then you're a victim of that. But then, you know, I don't know how long, let's just say 6 months later, you are no longer a victim of that. Unless maybe you're still dealing with the repercussions of it, then maybe you're still in that sphere. There's like a particular sphere of I'm still impacted by this thing, which means I'm like maybe that means you're still a victim if you're still impacted by it in a particular way. But it's also something you said struck me. You were just saying, well, I think I'm still figuring out what responsibility means and letting go of victimhood.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that as I was kind of feeling into it more, I do feel angry about this whole talk about victims. Because I feel like I don't know, there's like this sense of maybe unfairness. And I think that when people talk about like just stop being a victim and let go of that, and um, I I kind of feel invalidated, and I feel that there's like this unfairness and injustice that they don't understand, you know? So maybe
Mm.
I think I probably have to work through that. But yeah.
A little bit of a like get over it vibe.
Yeah, yeah, I really just don't like that. And not only is the whole get over it, it's anything kind of like adjacent to that. So it might be they might not use those words, but they're basically saying that, but not using those words, right? Yeah, it just kind of pisses me off. It feels kind of invalidating.
Yeah, and I think this is a good discussion because there's nuance here. And it's not it isn't a black or white thing. There's a way of talking about being a victim where you can validate someone's experience as a victim, but also this is for a therapist with their clients. You can validate their experience of being a legit victim in a situation and experiencing the negative impact of that victimhood or of the not of the victimhood but of the event, of having something done to you, um, and while also helping them let go of the identity that persists, the victim identity that persists.
Right.
Because this goes straight back to the emotional time traveling thing. It's like a lot of people feel today like a victim of something that's happening, maybe the political situation, maybe things happening in the world. And again, there are a lot of legit victims going through shit where you are an actual victim. But point being that there are a lot of times where people might feel like I'm a victim of maybe people in my life or maybe just life in general. And that it's actually that emotional time traveling of going back in time to this time where you were actually a victim and the emotion is still stuck right there. And it hasn't been felt all the way through, which is why it's still like cycling. So it's a nuanced thing. It's like, yeah, how do we validate the experience without validating the identity?
That's a good distinction. Yeah.
And I also wanted to say, which is what something that came up for me as you were talking about your own experience, that I don't know if this is true or not, but it's just the thought that occurred to me that maybe in some ways this thing of victimhood is like it's really a pretty core thing, and that as we heal, I'm thinking of what it might be like to be completely free of all unconscious victimhood. And to me, that sounds like complete healing. Like, oh, I guess I'm enlightened and 100% healed. So like I don't even know I don't know if that's possible in this lifetime. So that's just what occurred to me. It's like it's just an ongoing process of encountering these places in us where we were victimized and still carry the emotion and identity structure from that experience.
Yeah. No, I think I maybe need to work through some things.
Mm. Hmm. So we're probably winding
We
down.
Yeah, we've been at it for a while.
Um, anything else? Anything else you want to say about this, the gifted child thing? Um, yeah, anything?
No, I mean one of these she talks about depression a lot, which we're not gonna obviously go into right now, but maybe maybe I'll bring it up in a later episode if we ever talk about depression and anxiety.
Because if we ever do,
Yeah.
keep putting it off. Yeah, I'm sure we will. Um, yeah, let's see. Anything else here? I think when it comes to the victim thing, I've said something like this before, like one of my goals, I mean, for myself in my own healing, but then also in therapy with my clients, is like one of the main things that I focus on is what needs to happen for me or us to move from a state of disempowerment to a state of empowerment. And maybe that also is like maybe that mirrors a state of victimhood to a state of responsibility.
Yeah. Yeah. I,
And yeah.
yeah. I do think that so powerlessness and rage are really two sides of the same coin. And they're two ends of the spectrum, right? So if you felt powerless like a victim, chances are there's a uncovered covered ra repressed rage that you need to uncover, right? And so I think part of the equation, not for everyone, but from going from powerlessness to being empowered, is integrating that rage, uh, and that will also in turn, balance out the powerlessness, right?
Yeah. Yeah, and I think there's more we can say. We can have a whole conversation about rage, I think. Um, but yeah, let's just stop here.
Yeah.
I think we've covered enough. Our brains are spent. So
Yeah. I didn't have as much coffee today too, so it's like,
yeah. All right. Well, yeah, thanks for listening, everybody, and we will see you next time.
see ya.